getting up into the higher range. So let me demonstrate that. So I've got my hands equidistant, wrists are straight. Okay. So as you can see there, I didn't mess around. I was really serious about it. I had this mentality that I was gonna push it off my chest, full power, full intent the entire time. Action. Hey everybody, this is Elvis. I'm gonna be giving you a little bit of a tutorial and some information related to bench press and chest. Turn around, Zach. So the shoulder blades, those are the scapula. So they can move up, down, backward, and forward. Okay, this part of the spine, this is called the thoracic spine. Hunch forward, Zach. Okay, that's called thoracic flexion now. Go back. That's called thoracic extension. And this down here, this is the lumbar region. All right, guys, and now turn around. And up here, collarbones, this is called the clavicle. And this whole muscle here is called the pec major. So, all right, guys, so now I'm gonna be showing you the bench press. So the reason I brought that up is because on bench press, it's important to be in a position that's called thoracic extension. So that's what I was pointing out, when the thoracic spine is extended. A lot of people will have this hunched forward shoulder posture. And just in general, that's not good, healthy posture to have. You want to have a natural posture with your chest up, your thoracic spine extended. If you can see, my shoulder blades are back and down. And that's exactly the position you're going to want to have on the bench press. So, you get down. Do you see how my heels are planted firm? That's gonna give me a lot of stability, especially when you're getting up to the higher amounts of weight. My max is 215. You're gonna want as much stability as you can. You don't wanna be all loosey-goosey right here wobbling around. You wanna have your glutes completely tight, and you want your core to be tight as well. And you want your shoulders to be what I call depressed, so back and down. At that point, this is the middle of the bar. You have to make sure that your hands are equidistant from the middle of the bar. A good way to do that is bars like this typically have these grippy portions symmetrically, equidistant from the center already. You just grab those parts and put your thumbs right about here is where I like to grab the bar. And it's all subjective. Some people like a wider grip. Some people like a narrower grip. I like to take my thumbs, put them right there, and that's where I grab the bar. And then at that point, make sure that your wrists are straight, not extended. After you make sure your wrists are straight and not extended, you're gonna wanna drop this bar right down to your nipple line. And did you see how when I did that, notice the position of my elbows? They're not winged out 90 degrees. They're they're closer to my sides, about 45 degrees away. And you got to make sure that you're maintaining that every time you go down for the rep. And the other thing is, did you see how as I was coming up, my elbows are almost emphasizing this inward motion? The reason you're doing that is to make sure you're activating the chest. See, people will often bench press like this with their elbows way out here like that. They'll get very little activation of the chest, mostly just shoulder activation. So that's what I have to say about that. All right, guys. So now I'm gonna be benching 185. And 185 is a little bit higher on the weight range for me. One thing I wanna point out is, if you'll notice here, I have no clips. And the reason for that is because right now I don't have a spotter. I mean, technically I have Zach, but he's behind the camera, so. Whenever you're working out by yourself, doing bench press, you wanna make sure you don't have clips, because then you can throw the weight off and you won't choke yourself. and you won't have to roll the thing and crush your ribs while you're trying to get out. So make sure if you're working out by yourself, no clips. If you have a spotter, always have the clips on. Okay, so the next thing is, on a heavier weight, you've really got to focus on that explosive mentality. And what I mean is, you're not just kind of like half going through those reps and not really thinking about it. You've got full intent. Like the only thing on your mind right now, it's almost like, you know, put in a life or death fight or flight mentality. Make sure that you have to push this weight off of you, or else it's going to crush your neck. So you have to take these things very seriously when you're getting up into the higher range. So let me demonstrate that. So I've got my hands equidistant, wrists are straight. Okay. So as you could see there, I didn't mess around. I was really serious about it. I had this mentality that I was going to push it off my chest, full power, full intent the entire time. All right, guys. So next, what I'm going to be showing you is what's called an accessory lift. So this is one of the 5 major lifts, bench press. And in order to get your chest stronger, in order to be able to do that major lift better, and you have to do what's called accessory lifts. So this one I'm going to be showing you is called the incline hex grip. And when I first discovered this exercise, I was plateauing at a bench press max of 165. Within a couple weeks of doing this exercise, it went up to 185, and it's been going up ever since. The reason for that is a lot of people, because of the very similar directional line of pull of the muscle fibers of the front delt and the muscle fibers of the clavicular portion of the chest, your brain has this tendency to recruit the muscle fibers of the deltoids and then ignore the recruitment of the upper chest fibers. This exercise is designed to take out the shoulders and only focus on the muscle fibers of the clavicular portion of the chest, the portion of the chest that connects to the clavicle. And that's a very hard thing to do. So I'm going to grab these. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Gotta get something out. Okay. All right. So make sure you're scooted back all the way on the bench. And this is an incline bench, so you want to make sure it's, you know, inclined just a bit. And what you're gonna do is, do you see how I'm pushing these together? From the very beginning of the rep, I'm pushing these together above my chest, and I'm squeezing with all my might the muscle fibers in my chest. As I'm doing that, I'm gonna push these up, and did you see how my elbows started to come closer together? So that's gonna activate the clavicular portion of the chest. So, in other words, what you don't wanna do is this. See how my elbows are apart? The reason is, if you do that, you're not gonna recruit the muscle fibers of your upper chest. You're just gonna get the deltoids. So make sure as you're going up, your elbows are coming together. You're getting that elbow adduction, and you're recruiting the upper muscle fibers of your chest. Eventually, after doing this exercise consistently, you're gonna get much better. Your brain is gonna get naturally better at recruiting the upper muscle fibers of your chest. And it's going to apply that same ability, that same neuromuscular facilitation to your bench press. And once you have the other half of your chest that you haven't been using very efficiently, you're going to be able to push a lot more weight on the bench press. So put some of these in your routine, and I promise you, you'll feel a lot more strong. All right, guys. So last thing I want to talk to you about is... So we talked about the chest, we talked about the bench press, how to get your chest stronger, and you do that through what's called, you know, they're called auxiliary exercises, and that was a good example of an auxiliary exercise. Auxiliary exercise for your upper chest what you always want to do, especially for squats, but also for bench press, is decompression. And so here, I'm just doing a dead arm hang, letting my spine decompress, letting my chest stretch out a little bit. And I'm just gonna hold this for as long as I can. It's also gonna give me an additional benefit of forearm strength and endurance. I'm just gonna hold this for a little while. Maybe even throw a couple pull-ups in there just cause. Okay guys, so you remember how I was telling you on the incline hex grip, how in order to contract this upper portion of your chest, it's gonna take what's called elbow adduction. So because you're getting that area tight and just the chest tight in general, it's gonna pull your scapula forward. It's gonna pull your shoulder blades forward because that muscle's tight. And as I said at the beginning of the video, you don't wanna be in this position of thoracic flexion. You always wanna be in this natural body position, thoracic extension. So in order to reverse that, at the end of your chest exercises, you always wanna stretch those portions. How I do it is I take this and I like to stretch out just like that. My arm's flat and I'm getting my elbow as far away from the midline of my body as I can. And then I'm gonna do a staggered stance. I'm gonna point my hand away, so I'm rotating out. And I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna do that on each side. Okay. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that.
That was a bench day with Elvis. A lot of good information there. Hope it helps out.
Yeah.
Strengthens you, and remember to stay up on the stretching and recovery, because that's one thing I neglect.
Always remember to stretch, guys.
Yeah, decompress.
We could do a whole extra video on
will.
that. We'll do more videos on exercises like this and how to improve your strength on these major lifts. All the little things you could do.
Tiger tails.
Yeah.
Foam rollers.
Zach's gonna talk a lot about tension release with you.
Yes, sir.
So
good stuff, Elvis. Thanks for coming today.
Yeah, anytime.